Hey everybody, how are you? This is Vince Walsh coming to you from Opus IVS 360 here in New York. Hope everybody is safe and whatever else is going out there in the world, but we're here to have a little distraction from the world today. And welcome to the DrivePro ES. You may have a DrivePro, you may have a DrivePro ES, you could have a blue box, you could have an Assist Pro, you might even have a Farsight tablet, which is an awesome piece of equipment. So today we're going to go over kind of basic setup, get into a couple of vehicles or one vehicle and send a tech support request. We want to make sure that we're hooked up to Wi-Fi. That's the very first thing we've got to do. It doesn't make the tool Wi-Fi dependent, but what it does is it allows us to properly log into our account, okay? If someone were to steal the device or whatever it may be, what could end up happening is they could do some programming events and things like that on our dime, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to put my email address in here. Then I'm going to put my password and log in. Now, I'm coming to you live, but the video was shot on Saturday or Sunday this past weekend because I wanted to be able to talk live about what was going on. So we'll log in here, and obviously it says welcome Vince, so I'm logged into the device. And we're going to start just by looking at some of the different Buttonology and, you know, that kind of jazz. This interface is a lot different than our previous on the DrivePro, okay? This is our legacy tab. People that may have had, like I said, our blue box, our assist tool, all of that stuff that we did so well right there has been carried over into here. And basically, that's your European side. Your true European guys will get into that. Screenshot, we could take that down on the bottom of the screen. Told us that we captured. Close would be if we had a menu that could be closed, but we're on the home screen. This is my battery indicator. This is a brand new tool I plugged into the wall and I'm using it. Here's my Wi-Fi indicator, right? Important for logging in, or if we're calling tech support or whatever it may be, or if tech support's going to jump into the device with you. And once a Wi-Fi has been recognized, here's our power button down the bottom. I'm not going to turn it off because then we have absolutely nothing to talk about. So let's just jump through some of the tabs on the device. The first thing I like to do, especially on a new device, is I like to go into my updater tab and see if I've got any software updates available, right? We're just circling some of the other stuff. A huge software update went out today to the DrivePro ES and to the DrivePro device. DrivePro tools, domestic and Asian coverage has been enhanced tremendously. On the DrivePro ES, you had an enhancement to all of your software as well. We also have a BMW software update on DrivePro that went out today on DrivePro ES for our legacy software. And down in here, you'll see this daily builds thing. So let's just say we've got a really hot fix that comes out of our partners in the UK and they want to get it to us as fast as possible. What they'll do is they'll put it in here, and once everybody's happy with it, right, and say, hey, we really like this, it becomes an update. As a matter of fact, today, there is a BMW update that went out, and that version started out as a daily build, and we got such great feedback about it that everybody dug it. So I'm just going to go and do this Mercedes daily build that we have. It enhanced a bunch of, there was brake pad replacement and there was a whole bunch of other stuff, and we're constantly adding to both sides of this platform, one being our legacy stuff and the other side with help from our new partners from Auto Ingenuity. That's where we're really getting into a full coverage on one tab for diagnostics, not for programming, but just for our, you know, deep diagnostics. We've enhanced our Porsche coverage. GM is really cool. Chris Martino and I were talking about some of the stuff that's come out just today, and couldn't have been better timing. I was happy to get the phone call on the way to work this morning that my update had gone out that I've been screaming at the top of my lungs for. Some of you may have dealt with me before in the past, and I really try to do as much as I can to make sure that everybody's taken care of. We have a great team here, and basically that's that. So in our updater tab, basically you'll have different sections. Some of it will be about your European tool. Your updater screen is going to look a little bit different on different platforms. On your ES tool, it has a little bit of one look about it. And on your regular DrivePro, looks a little different. And that's because we have a different user interface and all that kind of stuff. So the current version that's going out to DrivePro and DrivePro ES is going to be, I believe it's 18.1.15 or something like that. And it's a really, really good build. The DrivePro dictionary is exactly that. It's all about, you know, what language you prefer to see on your screen. There's many different countries in there. I haven't been to most of them, but that's it. We've got our Volvo and we've got our BMW stuff. Like I said, there's a BMW update that went out today that is really good, and that started out as a daily build. And we're going to move on, and we'll get back into the operation of the device. So once we leave this screen, we're going to go back in. Excuse me 1 second. Can we move on? Okay, great. So sorry about that. There we go. So you can click on Update All. We can click on just what we're working on, however we want to go about it. So at this point, we'll move forward, and we're going to go into our file manager. If we had done any vehicle scans or anything like that, it'll be in here. Right now, the only thing that's in there is that quick capture that we did before earlier when we were looking at it. If we go into saved reports, if we had scanned any vehicles, it would be in here. If we go into our images, that's exactly what will be in there. The device is equipped with an audio, a video and a still camera, and that's what we'll be able to find under our images or our video section. And our vehicle history, again, are the cars that we've scanned and saved the reports on. Got our settings button here. It's the volume for the device. It's got speakers in it if you're watching a video, instructional, whatever it may be. YouTube at lunch, whatever floats your fancy. You can increase and decrease the volume here. And then what we've got here is a network. This is like a quick check if you're working and you want to make sure you got a strong Wi-Fi, because you're going to put in a tech support request that's in there. We left plenty of room internally on this, in this section. So we're going to be, you know, constantly adding things into the device to just enhance the user, you know, the user interface and where we could put lots of new stuff. Now, if you had a Wi-Fi that you had once been on, you can switch back and forth. It will remember your Wi-Fis. So we just actually switched back off and then went back into my DrewTech Wi-Fi, which is my hotspot. I'm going to go back out of here, and we're going to move over here, obviously, to our camera. We've got our settings. Here's our updates. Here's our web portal. So in the web portal, if you've got an AllData account, if you've got a Mitchell account, that can be like a link right to those pages. We've got our Diagnostic Network tab here, and then we've got our web portal. Okay, like I said, these are just links to the pages. It does not include a Mitchell and an AllData account, but the Diagnostic Network, if you are an Opus IVS customer, you've got it. Diagnostic Network is really, really cool. Matter of fact, if you were a Diagnostic Network member, you would have found out about this webinar today. You would also find out about all of the other great stuff that we got coming up. We've got scope classes, and we've got vehicle programming classes. We've got Captain Morgan's going to be doing some Jaguar Land Rover stuff, and you know, and that's what this one's about here, right? Meet the new DrivePro ES. There's also lots of great, I can almost call them tech tips. They're not, you know, guarantees or anything like that, but there's things that other techs and other shop owners or whatever might have interest in. And they're all here. It's great stuff. It really, really is. Trained by Techs is on here. They're a big part of our organization. They've always got great scope classes. There's just tons and tons of stuff in here. Spend some time in there. Do yourself a favor. And then, of course, there's a web portal, so you can go on whatever information system, wherever you need to go. let's go into the RAP programming. RAP's been a staple for us for quite some time, obviously. Drew Technologies perfected J2534 pass-through programming, and RAP has always been that, hey, I need a module program, but I don't want to, I don't want to have like 20 different OE subscriptions and a car deck and make sure all the planets are aligned so I can get my car programmed properly. So what's kind of cool is you can launch RAP and you can make an appointment. Example would be, let's say you had a GM car and the door was smashed and it's got a new driver's door switch, which is a module, or you needed to do a Chrysler TCM, a PCM. You'd be able to go right into RAP. You would follow the procedures. You'd go through, you read the small print, which isn't very small, which pretty much tells you to disconnect all of the non-essential stuff from the car. Tells you to hook up your battery charger. You hit next, you plug into the car, and at your appointment time, one of the Drew programmers, which are just an awesome bunch of guys, will just walk you through what they need to do. At this point, I have my 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee that I thought would be a good car, but let's take a look quick in the legacy spot here. So if you're a Blue Box customer, or if you're an Assist Pro or Assist Plus, I'm sorry, this is what you would see when you went in there, right? And that is our legacy software. So if you need to do a programming on a BMW, a steering rack and pinion, a battery registration, whatever it may be, that's where you're going to go, right? Because this is where the European programming stuff is. Jaguar Land Rover stuff is in here, KVMs and PCMs, and we've got Volvo in here. But if we want to program a Volvo, we're proud to say that we are the only solution for Bulbul Programming. We can launch Volvo Vita right off of this device and program any module we need to do, from like 2003 or 4 all the way up to current. So let's jump into the diagnostics tab, and we're going to go and we're going to plug this thing into my 2018 Grand Cherokee. And what we'll do is we'll start out, we'll do a vehicle scan. We're going to save the quick test. One of the things that I went through pretty quickly is I hit the save button after I did a quick test, and I didn't stop and really highlight where it is, because it's so important that you click on save. In our European software, we have autosave, but on these, in this software, we do not use an autosave feature, because some people just want to take a look and get out. So you click on the detect automatic, the key is on in the car. And right now we could take a look up on the top. Highlighted is 10 recall alerts. Now this is my car. I wasn't aware of this. It's never been to a Jeep dealer. Well, hopefully it doesn't have to go to a Jeep dealer. But if you want to take a peek, take a peek in here and give your customer an idea if there's any open recalls in this VIN break. It's not specific to this exact VIN, but anybody within this kind of year, make, and model is where it is. And you never know, you may have had a customer complaining, hey, my exterior lights don't work, whatever it may be. What you can do is you can take a screenshot of whatever you say, and then you can take and you can email that to your customer. You can email it to yourself. You can print it out, whatever you may be. But the way the world is going these days, it seems like paper is, we really are getting into a paper society, finally. So if we go into, we have, engine, transmission, but let's do a quick test on this car. And when we go to click on quick test, we have a few boxes on the top. We've got our historical, our clear DTCs, freeze frame, and then run quick test. For smog states, it's really important to go and click on freeze frame information as well as cleared and historical, because the vehicle's coming in and we're trying to make sure that it's going to go through inspection. We want to make sure we click them all. It'll give us the most thorough check of the vehicle that we can. Or if we get the customer to do it yourself, who loves to disconnect the battery before he brings it into us, and we're going to go plug into this thing. We don't find any codes in the system currently, but if it's got misfire codes and if he cleared it before it came, they're going to be in history, right? So this is really good to do, because let's say the thing's got a misfire. The guy ran it out of oil, puts a couple of quarts of oil in, and he brings it into you. You get the car, And you look into it and you say, wait a minute, this thing misfired. It's got oil pressure codes, but the customer didn't share any of that with you because he's embarrassed, you know. But regardless, we'll run a quick test on it. Oh, and for smog, we can go in here and get an idea if we're going to be, you know, what's in there. So we'll run the quick test on it. Depending on how many modules we may have available to us, it's going to go through. It's going to connect. It's going to grab a VIN. It'll give you that confirmation pretty much. You'll do your quick test. And remember, after the quick test is run, you're going to see a button populate up towards the top of this screen, and you're going to want to click on save when it's done. So there may be some modules that may or may not be equipped in this exact vehicle, but it'll try to hit them all. So you may see something that you know the car doesn't have. You just walk past it. It's not a big deal. So we're connecting. Here's our quick test, and up on the top, when we scroll back down, you'll see that we've got a save button. So we're going to click on the save, and then down on the bottom right of your screen where my body is shown, there you go. It shows up saved. So that's great. So now it shows that we've saved the quick test, and we can go back, and we'll just go into, let's go into the engine or something like that. Let's see, we've got, I forget what I did. Yeah, I think we hit engine, and I went into enhanced powertrain because I want to get as much vehicle data as I can. Let's just say that somebody had a problem with a hiccup or a hesitation or something like that. And you know that you may have seen a problem with throttle bodies on these cars or coolant sensors or wherever it may be. We can go in and look at our sensors, right? So the best way to go in here, because there is a ton of data in here, if you know what you're looking for, you can type it in, or you can scroll through and you can pick it out. You'll see that there are sensors and there are actuations. Now, some people may say it's a 2018 Jeep. Where are we getting actuations from? You know, this is Security Gateway. Well, we've been the first people to do Security Gateway with the factory tool. So if you need us, we're here for that. That's not a problem. So if I want to look at the coolant temperature on this particular vehicle, we'll grab it here. And let's say, I think I'm going to try to find the throttle body as well. So if I can spell, I think I chose a couple of wrong things here, and some of them didn't pertain. I think one was for like only if it was a diesel car or whatever it may be. And we'll end up shutting a couple of these down, and then we can graph them. It's just so much easier to see things when they're in a graph than looking at numbers. We can grid list them. This is a regular list. A grid would give it lined out into squares. But I prefer to look at them in a graph if I'm looking at, you know, up to 4 at one time, so I can maximize this. And I've got 3 of them on there, right? I got a throttle blade, I got my coolant temperature sensor, and my throttle inlet pressure. Throttle inlet pressure, I am going to, I think I do away with it on this one, but I'm snapping a throttle a couple of times here, and I'm getting a pretty good picture of what's going on. Now you can see that there's a save button in each one of them. There's a zoom button, so you can zoom in on it. It's not a scope, right? It's voltage, it's time, but it works really, really well. So I'm going to close that. We'll get into the throttle. And let's just look at the throttle and just snap. And like I said, if we see something going on that we're not 100% sure of, we can click on the save button. And when we hit the save button, it'll take and save that image. Here, we're down onto 1 now. It'll save that image, and it'll be in there. And we can send that image up to tech support and share it with them if we feel the need. Like, hey, what do you think of this? What else is nice about our tech support is obviously we can be live with you on this device, whether you're in a shop or on the road. We could be the buttons, we could be the eyes, and that's a super feature. It really is. So I just saved the graph here, and that'll be in my that'll be in the section of my images. Okay. At this point, we've got some other miscellaneous functions. Got some great stuff in here. Basic system tests, which will, you know, if you're working in a current module, you need a calibration. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to beat it up. Now, it goes to show us that you may need your enhanced Chrysler to get in there and do it. And we do have the enhanced Chrysler available to you. It's all part of being being one of us as our 360 team. So let's go and tire size programming is so important to some of our Jeep owners, right? They're always putting big, little. They got 3 sets of tires and wheels. They're going in the mud. So this is pretty cool, right? So you can figure out what you want to do, and you can change your tire size so that the TPMS light isn't on, and you'll have proper ABS learning and all that stuff. Learn ETC is pretty cool. Faulty throttle body, right? Let's say if we found a bad throttle and we're going to replace it, we can go in and we can readapt it, line it back up to the car, so the car knows that we've got a new throttle body in it. I'm not going to do it because I'm needed to drive the car the next day, and it doesn't have a new throttle body in it. Cam and crank relearn, very important. If we put a new engine in the car, we just got that tab to kind of tell the ECU that we're starting over. If we go into other here, other is kind of cool. This is like everything other than engine and tranny and brakes and stuff like that. If we wanted to look at the audio system or the HVAC or something like that, like we can go in the audio system. If the customer's complaining that the left front speaker was cutting out, we might be able to go in there and look at some data on that. We can reset the ECU. We can look at all of the individual modules. Now, at this point, you may have missed it. The next tabs we're going to go into is going to be, let's see, do we go? We went from okay, we'll go into the HVAC now. So if you've got somebody, let's say the left side is not as cold as the right side, and you want to know that real outlet temperature, you could go into here on your temperatures. You could look at your left side. You could look at your right side. We can swing the doors back and forth down underneath that dashboard. There's all kinds of great actuations. If you're stuck under the dashboard, you need somebody to hit the button for you. Grab tech support. Somebody will log in, hit the button, and they can look at the output. They can look at what's going on while you can concentrate on seeing actually what's happening with the car. It's pretty cool. So we'll go back here and let's see. We'll go into tire pressure. Now, if you remember, under tire pressure monitor would be with a car that's just got plain Jane tire pressure monitoring system. This vehicle has much more than that, right? So let's go into this radio frequency hub, which is how, you know, these late model Chryslers, I'm not a Chrysler expert, but I believe they talk to each other over a crazy, crazy network. So if we wanted to go in here, we'll find, we can find the different altitude compensation that they use. We can look at different switches in the doors. We can look and see tailgate operation. There's a ton of stuff we can look at in here. We can open up whether it be a door handle or a seat belt, and just look out through a whole communication of the vehicle and see what's giving us proper input, what's reading. We can also do this in a grid. We could do this in a list, or we can do this in a graph. I keep saying Chris Martino because he's like a graph guy. He loves his graphs. He loves his scope and stuff like that. So down on one of these, you can't see it because of where I am. I was locking and unlocking and then doing a seatbelt, and it's good stuff. But again, wait, where is it? I think it's down here. Yeah, I think it was on the seatbelt. So if we go in here, you'll find your tire pressure programming again, and all sorts of ECU functions. So we'll jump out of here and we'll go into safety. Let's jump into our airbag and we'll get a full idea what's going on. Let's say the customer had an airbag code and we want to go deeper into the system, and we want to look at the voltages coming out of the modules and make sure everything is okay before we give the customer back the car. You know, obviously we can look at it and make sure the thing is safe. If you're going to give it back to them and you got 12 volts here, maybe the charging system's not working right. I wouldn't give somebody back a car that's got 12 volts in it if it's running or whatever, which I think it's kind of important. So these are our switch states. So I was opening and closing the passenger seatbelt buckle while I did that, and it was turning on and off. So you can see it's fastened, and then I unfastened and back and forth. And you can look at that on a graph as well. So again, lots of different options. You can have up to 4 graphs on the screen at one time, or I think you can have as many as like 16 other things going if you don't have it in that area. There's the module information. You can see a calibration ID in that SRS module or occupant restraint. We'll move over here into brakes, go into the ABS, and Let's say we had, again, we had an ABS code, or we have a car that's doing some funky braking, and we think we may have an issue going on with a wheel speed sensor. So we'll scroll down here. We can look at our steering angle first. Okay, car came in, guy hit a curb. The steering angle light is on the dash if it pertains, and we can look. I'm just rocking the wheel back and forth. If you do wheel alignment, it's always nice to see that the steering angle sensor is reset back to 0 for you guys that do wheel alignments, or girls. The other thing is we can go down here and look at the yaw rate, right? Give us an idea if this thing's ready to roll over. Shake the car back and forth a little bit, and the voltage changed. I was having a good time with myself. I'm sorry. So let's go back, and I'm going to try to find some wheel speed stuff in here. So I think I chose maybe a front and a rear. I got rid of the sensors I was looking at. Okay, so I accidentally chose wheel impulse instead of wheel speed. So I'll get rid of those, and I'll bring these up. I'll choose the 4 of them. We'll click on graph and maximize all my graphs right here. And there we go. So I've got all my wheel speeds. And I think at this point I was backing out of my driveway, trying to pay attention to what's going on. And then we'll take the car for a ride and just get an idea. So let's just say that, like I said, we had a code for a left front sensor. The code's not there now. And we want to get an idea of what's going on as we drive down the road. We could do a 4-wheel comparison. And for all of you that would know, if you're driving down the road, looking at ABS, if you turn the wheel or you come to you change the angle of the car, things are going to change because one tire starts to turn differently than the rest. If I see something that's interesting, or I found the problem, I can click on save. If I saw a glitch, it'll be in there. Some of our other stuff that we'll be doing on some of our other webinars, we'll be showing glitches live, which is pretty cool. We're getting into some really cool simulation stuff that we're putting together here, and we'll be doing some simulation classes. We're also going to be doing introducing a really cool simulation offering that we're going to do eventually. You can talk to Chris Martino about that. So let's just say I wanted to look at my wheel speed going down the road. I really wanted to pay attention to what was going on. So I think I was driving down the road about 25, 28 miles an hour. And if I want to concentrate on that one wheel, I can close one at a time, or I can close whatever I want. So that was that. So it's ABS. So we'll take a look into, I think we go to transmission next to be a good place to go. So if we went to the transmission, a couple of options. If I click on electronic limited slip differential, which this car does not have, it's going to come up and say you're not equipped, so get out. It's normal enough. The car's got a rotary dial on it. But if we go into the transmission module and we wanted to look at clutch volume index, or if we wanted to see some of the pressures or anything like that, or if you're not a transmission guy or girl and you want to get an idea of what's going on, kind of a health check on it, again, you've got things to compare it to. If you need real good known values, reach out to tech support. Hey, dude, what should I have here? What should I have here? Is this normal? The customer's complaining about a slip. Should I service this transmission? Sometimes it's best not to take the fluid out of them because they'll never move again. And we can look at as many things as we want. Again, we're back onto graphs. We're looking at, we've got crankshaft torque and wheel speed and all of that. So at this point, we've looked at the engine, we looked at the transmission, we've done brakes, safety, TPMS. It's kind of just a general overall look of the interface on this device and how important it is. So here's our support. If I click on support and I want to send in a support ticket on this particular car, I choose that vehicle because it's the only one that we've done. The registration plate is mine and the mileage is too many. And I'm probably going to get charged when I go to return this thing off of its lease. And at this point, I'm just going to move forward. So I hit info, and as much information as we can provide to tech support, the better, right? Even though this is a test, I'm telling the guy it's got lots of fault codes. I did get a call back. Actually, yeah, I got a a message back from one of my teammates in California after I sent in this tech support request, and he said, Vince, you really working on this car? Is this your Jeep again? So, and what else is cool, if you had something strange in a video, or we had an image or whatever, we can attach it right to the support request. We go to our summary, and this will give us an idea of what we have. We got our VIN, lots of codes. It shows that we've got a throttle blade attachment, and excuse me, and we can send it to tech support. Now, at this point, I was driving the vehicle. I was on my Wi-Fi hotspot, and as you can see in the background there's a whole lot of information that's getting passed, wirelessly, and it's getting to tech support. Eventually, it's going to tell us the tech support request has been sent, and then someone from tech support will get our ticket, and they'll be able to look at it. And if we just need information, we could have put in there, hey, I just need some torque specs, or I need, is there a TSB? Is there a recall? Don't call me. Just send me an email. You can put that right in there, and we can do that. Our tech support team is second to none. It's really amazing. I started out as a customer with Farsight, and I got deep into it. And then I started here with when the DrivePro came out, and I was on Volkswagen Audi, because that's been my specialty for a long time. And this device has gone leaps and bounds from where we thought it was going to go. It's got so much information in it. It's got so much capability that, again, there were some growing pains in the beginning, but it's solid. It's real solid. So at this point, if you want to do some questions or answers, anybody's got any questions, that'd be great. Chris? No, we're okay? Okay. Jordan? All right, great. So at this point, if you are a DrivePro customer and you're not a DrivePro ES customer, here's the way it's going to work. Where's my DrivePro ES, right? So by the end of April, all DrivePro tools will become ES tools. You'll get the full suite, you'll get the coverage, the interface, and you'll be right at the level of where we're looking at this tool today. And there would be no charge for that whatsoever. And I think that's pretty cool, right? Some scan tool manufacturers might come out with a tool. A year later, they came out with the next one. And oh my God, here comes the upcharge, right? It's like the iPhone that you have to buy every year. But that's not going to happen in this situation. We're offering, I think it's, hey, Mike, we got 90 days financing free right now, something? Yes. So we've got all sorts of offers going on. Reach out to sales if you have any questions on that. If you have any questions on vehicle coverage, reach out to us on that. If you go to our Opus IVS website for North American coverage, it gives you a real good idea of just how massive we are as far as programming, support, different products that we have. If you're a do-it-yourself program person, you can, you could get an idea of what we can do with that stuff. If you need it done for you, it's all good. Now, as far as, individual Mercedes-Benz control unit programming goes, here's the deal. We had a recent acquisition of our friends at BlueLink, who really have written the book on Mercedes-Benz remote programming. And we can do quite a bit of Mercedes individual module programming. If we needed to do a transmission plate, if you want to do any of that stuff, it's what you do is you'll put a call into tech support. We'll set you up at a BlueLink programming session, and we'll get you done. Is there a charge for it? Yeah, it's, but you would pay if you had a factory tool as well. The other things that we could talk about is, all right, so we got our Mercedes-Benz. And all right, so if you've got an old DrivePro, you're going to get upgraded to ES, like I said, free of charge. Now, as far as the OEM coverage goes, Uh, let's say you're working on a late model Volvo, right? And if you've ever worked with Volvo's Vita software, it's a nightmare and it's expensive. So if you need to do some diagnostics on late model Volvo, you need to look at some real pinpoint things that only comes out on the Volvo factory scan tool. We are the only guys out there that are going to be capable of launching the factory Vita software, because we have a unique offering with Volvo that we can launch on the tool. We can also do that with our General Motors. We can share Chrysler with you. We can share Ford. We've got, listen, we are the OE connection. No matter who says they are the OE connection, ask them truly. It's all housed right on our product. And we're there to share it with you, both for diagnostics and for programming. You know, as far as the programming stuff goes, is it included with your monthly? No, it's not. But it's not gonna kill you. It's, you know, the days of having to have the mobile guy come in for everything, or having to bring a car for the dealer and have it done. We're trying to slow that pace down so you can keep the cars in house. And nothing against the mobile guys, by the way, they're great dudes, and they'll always have work. We all know that. But when you get to the point where you don't have to turn anything away, and you can do it all in house, or most of it anyway, it's huge. Just to touch on the Porsche coverage real quick. Our Porsche coverage was a little lacking in the past, as far as just being able to do service resets and all of that stuff. Pretty happy to say that I was in a 2020 911 right before I got on this call, and I was able to get in through the entire vehicle. We were able to see the modules. It was a crashed car, had a broken oil pan. It had run out of oil, but we were able to see the instrument cluster, and we saw the engine and misfire data, and all of that stuff was all in there, which was really cool. So I'm happy about the Porsche thing. Some people around here that I've had like a Porsche obsession, being able to get my Porsches done. The other thing that some people are asking is about our sprinters, right? So let's say you've got a 906 or 907 Sprinter, and you've got a DrivePro, you've got a DrivePro ES, and we're just not getting deep enough into that Sprinter that you want to do. Well, because of our unique Blue Link offering, we can launch the factory tool with you live on the device, and we can use the factory tool to look at those knock sensor values and do whatever we need to do. Or if we're just not 100% sure of what it should look like, as opposed to, you know, a factory tool and our tool, we can always show you, hey, this is what it looks like on the factory tool. This is what it's supposed to look like. And also for our European customers, what's pretty cool is that you can look at your legacy software, right? And if you want to go into the DrivePro ES software, you can jump in there and you can get into your Mercedes-Benz as well. There are lots of updates coming. They're finally coming at a really good pace now that everybody's on board between our friends at Auto Ingenuity. Shout out to them, and True Technologies and Blue Link, and you know, and the whole bit. It's a huge package that we have to offer. And you know, I guess when it's Opus IVS 360, it's because it really is a full-rounded package. It's not a scan tool. It's support, and it's, you know, it's a whole team of people working together. And we want to work with the people on the outside and not hide everything from the people on the outside. So if you're an Opus IVS customer, you're more like a member of the family. And most of you that know me, that's pretty true. You've spoken to me on Saturday or Sunday or whatever it may be. We go the extra mile. We can get beat up like anybody else over certain things, but we really do try. So we encourage you to reach out, whether you are an existing customer or not. Any questions you may have, anything you need a demonstration, you know, it's all good. And that's about it. Any questions, Chris? Cost of a DrivePro ES. Okay, you got an assist. Just want to know what the options are. Gee, that'd be a great question for Mike. Hey, Mike. So if we have a customer that does not have a DrivePro ES and he has an assist tool, right?
So we were running a trade-in that we were no longer running.
Okay.
The tool is $59.95, and we do have several different options.
Oh, okay, cool.
You know, so they're all
All right.
they got to contact their sales rep.
Right. So you'll reach out to your sales rep on that. But I think the best way to put it is this: that assist tool that you have is a great commodity, and I wouldn't get rid of it, because if you buy a DrivePro ES or finance, whatever it may be, your assist tool is going to stay up to date as well. So if there are some of those older cars that we are not 100% on doing, especially the European stuff on the DrivePro or DrivePro ES, and I'll explain that in a second, it's always good to have that assist tool in your toolbox or your blue box or whatever it may be. Any of them, you don't want to give them up. You know, unless you've got a 6-bay shop with 4 tools and you're going to work with somebody else, you might want to hang on to them because they really are great devices. You know, people say, well, bring the old blue box back. We can't. That's not the way technology went. And if you were to say to me, why is it that I can do one thing with my assist tool or my blue box that I can't do with the drive tool on an early car, like an early Jaguar? Here's the answer. Those vehicles did not use a J2534 method of programming from the factory, which is why it works great on some of the tools. And on DrivePro, if we can't do it, we can't do it. DrivePro ES. So what we'll do is we'll remote in with the factory software, and we can jump in and we can do that Jaguar, we could do that Land Rover, which is really good. Another thing with some of the Jaguars, Land Rovers, and our Volkswagen Audi offering, there is a lot of talk these days about vehicle security, right? So the importance of vehicle security can't be stressed enough. If you are or not a member of NASDAQ, this is not a paid advertisement, by the way, but if you've got a Volkswagen and you break a steering rack and pinion because the guy lowered the car 3 inches and he crashed it into a pothole, and now we got to reprogram a steering rack. We can't reprogram a steering rack if you're not a certified vehicle security professional. You don't need the factory software because we've got it. So if you can show us your credentials and give us proof of ownership of the car, whoever owns it, your customer, we can get it done. We've even gone as far as, for some of you that are in remote locations of the country where we just can't get a good enough signal to do certain programming, we will send out a rescue tool. We have Volkswagen tools. We've got BMW tools. We've got so many different things in our arsenal. No matter what we've got to do, we're going to get something out to you. If we can't do it, you know, with what's in your hand, we'll get something out to you. It's going to help you. Again? Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So, and thanks, Mike. One of the other reasons why you might want to hang on to some of your, what we'll call the legacy stuff, is if you've got the older Mercedes or the older BMWs that have those multi-pin connectors under the hood, those vehicles are not designed to work with a pass-through device. So if you've got a DrivePro and you've got some of those cars with those multi-pins, do me a favor, don't try to jury-rig an adapter and plug into the car, because you're going to be calling me and tell me that the smoke came out of the tool or whatever it may be. Some people, you know, like, I got a question, I'm hesitant to buy another tool from Opus between the Blue Box, Assist Plus, and Farsight, spent a lot of money, and now DrivePro. You know what? You got some great stuff there, but if you want to narrow it down to a couple, reach out to sales, we'll work something out for you. If you're not sure if you like it, maybe we can get one to you and see if you like it. Let you try it out. We've got a sales force out there now that is tremendous, and they're reaching everybody. Now, as far as, does the device have an Ethernet connection? Yes, it does. Basically, included with all of them, there is an adapter. Hey, Chris, give me an adapter. Excuse me. Okay, so on top of your tool, you got a USB port and a power port, and where your diagnostic connector goes in. And this little device right here is going to plug into the USB port, and that is where your Ethernet is going to go into. So that's going to serve multi-purpose for any vehicle that requires Ethernet style programming. BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, That's the cable we're going to be using for diagnostics and for programming on those cars. But if we need to hardwire that tool because we're going to do a programming event, we really, really want you on hardwire. And there's no reason in the world right now, in this day and age, why somebody shouldn't have at least one Ethernet drop line in your shop. If you don't have one, you could probably buy a 100-foot cord and run it to the back of your router or whatever and get it dropped into your shop pretty quickly. But that's the purpose of this, okay? So this will be for your Ethernet programming cable, or to take an actual Ethernet cable and plug it right into here, and then we are literally hardwired into the device. And that is going to be required during programming events. Hours of operation for remote programming are going to depend on where you are. Now we have, let me find out. Chris is going to look it up for me. Okay. Okay. All right. So what we've got is 8:30 to 6:30, Monday to Friday. We offer remote vehicle programming. We have temporarily suspended our Saturday hours for both support and for programming. Just, you all know what's going on in the world out there. It's a pretty weird place. Fortunately for us, we're all here. We're here for you. We're working. We're all working, which I find is an amazing thing. And it also gives us a little extra time to spend like this and, you know, share what we've got. And we've got a whole bunch of other Arsenal webinars coming out, training and all of that stuff. Let's see what we got here. Old DrivePro, you get updates for free. Hey, Chris, can you fix that question? Being asked a very strange question, excuse me. If you have an old DrivePro, you do get updated to an ES. And as far as the OE coverage goes, yeah, well, let's put it this way. There's two types of OE coverage, right? OE coverage is going to be when you plug the scan tool into the vehicle, can you read it and diagnose it and actuate? Yes. Are you going to be able to program with it as well when we are going to log in and program the vehicle, you know, with you? Absolutely. We still offer all of our True Technology products. We still offer our Cardec 3, and there's lots of stuff coming down the pipe for that. Built into the Drive platform is a Cardec 3 technology. People say, well, why can't I use it? Well, it's there for us to assist you. You are using it for your diagnostics and your actuations and everything else, but, you know, think about it. It's all built into one tool. All of our offering that we have for vehicle diagnostics, I'm sorry, not diagnostics, but programming, we house on the backside of your tool. So picture if you were to turn the thing around and be able to look into the back of it. We've got GM, we've got Ford, we've got Chrysler, Toyota, Nissan. There's a slew of them back there. We got Volkswagen, Audi, we've got Volvo, and that's how we can launch our factory stuff. You want it all? Okay, then you could probably spend about, I don't know, $2,000 a month in subscriptions and everything else. Chris, anything else? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So Chrysler Gateway. Chrysler Gateway has been a thorn in every diagnostic platform side for a while. They decided to do it. There were some scan tool companies that were out there that were using like jumper pins and all this kind of stuff to get around it. Well, that's not the right way to do it. So the way we look at it is this. Can we read codes? Can we clear codes? Yes. Are the codes permanent? It's a permanent DTC on late model Chrysler. It's there. But if we need to do true bi-directional function on a Chrysler vehicle, we can do it because we are capable of flowing Chrysler data directly at the vehicle. And that's that. So can we do it? Absolutely. We were the first to do it. We were the first ones to do the Chrysler programming, and we're just going to stay ahead of the curve. I don't like saying that, ahead of the curve this time of year. Chris? Memory size of the unit is really not a something that matters. I mean, it's got a what do you got it? About a 750 gig hard drive in it. The hard drive is sectioned up between a couple of different areas. Some of it's used for flowing data. Some of it's used for housing all of your information from all the scans. And if you've had a DrivePro for a while, like a lot of people, they're like, oh my gosh, how many of these quick test reports do I have to keep? Well, you could delete them if you want, or once you get to 100, it's going to start to cycle over again and just start deleting the old and stacking up the new. If you end up, let's say you want to clear up the tool for whatever reason, but you don't want to get rid of it for good, you could reach out to us. We can go in and we can grab the files. We can save them secure for you. And then if you want them back on the device, you can put them back on the device. And that's that. What else you got, Chris? Okay. So if you have an older DrivePro and you only, I'm sorry, that would be a drive tool, and it only had European coverage on it. Yes. At the end of April, when all units become ES tools, you will have the entire Asian, domestic, and European suite that we had on our diagnostic tab, as well as the legacy coverage that you have on the device right now. You'll also get the graphing program. It's huge to get that kind of an upgrade on a device at no charge. That's, I don't know, that's just not something that's going on in really in any industry right now. What else you got, Chris? What about internet speed? It's a great question. Internet speed's important in a couple of ways. The better your internet speed, the better we can flow data. The first thing we're going to do on a lot of cases, if things look glitchy when we're trying to do a programming event, or if you're having a problem, send it in tech support requests or something like that, because those are the times where you need your Wi-Fi. It's pretty easy. Go on the front of the device. We have that, we have a web portal. Go in there and just type in speed test and hit run. And, if you're not getting 20 and 20 or whatever around that area, then you need to call your internet service provider because you're getting ripped off. Hardwire the tool. You'll see the needle will peg. And listen, if you're doing a programming event, we got to be on hardline because we're not going to lose a module. I don't want to be responsible for that. Neither do you. As far as our BMW stuff, when we do that CIP programming, that all gets housed and it becomes enclosed to the shell, and you don't have to worry about that. Most of our stuff is buffered and you don't have to worry. So if we lose connection in the middle of something, we can come back. That's not a problem. Chris? Excuse me one second. Okay. What's all programming? Wow. Is it really programming? Or is it somebody giving you a file? And do you get to keep the programming? I don't know. Where does it come from? My best answer I could give you to the Autel programming is this. I own an Autel tool. I'll never use the Autel tool again. Because when he bricked a BMW on me, I tried to call them for assistance. No. Mercedes file. I need to do a Mercedes headlight. Okay. How do I do it? Well, you send us a log. I think that's how it goes. And then they send you back a file. It mysteriously disappears. Why? Maybe they don't want anybody to know that they gave you the file. I don't know. It's SCN coding. It's not supposed to be there like that. The best of my ability, Mercedes wants to make sure that everybody gets the right file for the right car. So I guess the best thing I can say is, you want to program with your Autel or any other tool, that's fine. But if the car goes down, which it happens, try calling them. The best I can say. We have people with Autel tools and other tools that take the cars down during programming with those devices, and we help them out one way or another. If they're a customer, we're here to help. We may ask, why did you use the Autel tool? Because your tool couldn't do it. Well, it looks like the Autel tool didn't do it so well after all, did it? And that's the deal. Why do they do it free? Ask them that. We're not doing it free because it's not free. because we've got to pay for the files like everybody else. Is it expensive? I don't think so. I think it's pretty reasonable. If you got to flow data on a Mercedes transmission plate, or if you got to do this, you got to do that. Let's put it this way. We charge you, you charge your customer. You were going to charge your customer to begin with. So if you want it free, that's not here. But we're not here for, you know, to give things away. We're here to give you great support. Give me 1 second. Yeah, go back up. Okay, is there a monthly subscription? Absolutely. Is it mandatory that you have it? Kinda. So your monthly subscription is going to cover your updates to all your car lines, your vehicle coverage. It's going to include unlimited tech support with your BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, CIP, all of that stuff is included, 100%. You're not paying for that. If you are, again, with the tech support, the updates, it covers your warranty, and you know, it's all in there. Okay. Okay, so the way it's going with that is your first year is mandatory. I want to make sure that we stick together and we can make that bond. After the first year, you don't want us anymore, that's fine. I mean, I want you and make it ready to you and fire you. But what we can do at that point, you'll still have an operational scan tool, but it's not going to be able to be updated. And, you know, that's, I don't know, using a not updated scan tool is it's kind of dangerous in my book. I mean, manufacturers make latest changes and corrections after the vehicles are produced. And that's the reason for updates a lot of times. So that much I can say. A domestic and Asian coverage, adding a key and an immobilizer? Sure. It all depends, right? There's a right and a wrong way to do everything. There's a legal and a not required legal way to do something. If you call us with a Toyota, you need to add a key. You need to replace a key. Some of the older Toyotas had a situation where you needed to do you needed to replace the ECM. You needed to match the key again. And basically, you're going to need to get your locksmith credentials. I don't like to say locksmith act because it's not locksmith. It's NASDAQ. It's a governing body. All the car manufacturers out there recognize them to get things properly done. So the offering we've got with them, one more time, is you get yourself certified, and we have an entire team of factory certified people here that are going to go in there, do it properly, legally. You're covered, we're covered, right? So, I mean, I had a few situations when I was in the shop every day where the mobile guy would come by and he'd say, hey, you need anything programmed, I could take care of it. And then just messing around with him. I said, yeah, I need you to program a new key for my Volkswagen. Yeah, no problem. Well, what about this Volkswagen? It's not mine. Yeah, that's no problem. How are you going to do that? I'll take care of it. I got ways. Wow, that's really illegal. I think General Motors lost like 100,000 cars one year from the nonsense that occurs out there and the illegal activities or what it may be. Look, I'm no attorney. I just don't want to get locked up. And neither do you. So we're not going to do anything that's going to break the law. So if it requires a security method, then we're going to ask you to be a part of that. If it doesn't require security, then we'll get it done with you. It's not a problem. And it'll get done. Right, exactly. Thanks, Mike. So one more thing with programming. We guarantee the programming is going to go. Something happens during a programming event, we're there. Whatever we got to do. We've had to do some strange things in the past, whether it was our fault or not. You know, you might have had somebody just, who needs this battery charger? We've also had some instances where cars but unlike other scan tool manufacturers or support manufacturer, whatever they may be, if something goes down during programming, I don't think they're going to be there for you. And that's that. That's part of what we do. Chris? As far as your updates go on the tablet itself, Wi-Fi is perfectly fine. I use my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone all the time to do tool updates. That's easy enough. It goes a little faster depending on the size of the updates and how many you have. You know, if you open up your update folder and it's got like 6 updates and they're big, you might want to just go ahead and plug it into your hardline Ethernet with that adapter that we had before, and it'll go a little bit faster. You got Chris? Okay, quick test. All right, so 2 types of quick tests. One's going to be if it's a European vehicle and you want to do it with the European software, a quick test can be done. It could be saved, it's there. You can email it to your customer, you can email it to yourself, you can print it out that way. And as far as the DrivePro ES diagnostic software on that big tab, yeah, quick tests are there, and they're quick enough. I mean, how long did it take us to scan the Jeep with 39 modules? It didn't take us long at all. What do you got, Chris? Sure. Any customer that we've had in the past that is no longer a customer, they moved, they were pissed, whatever it may be, they didn't have any money, and they want to come back, we welcome them back. That's not a problem. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Sure. Okay. You know, as far as that stuff goes, yes, you can come back. Does it cost you what you weren't in for? No, I think there's like some kind of administration fee where you could reach out to sales. I think it's $2.99. So you just pay them for that month, and then you can go after that. But honestly, Autologic losing customers and having them come back, it's not the norm. We just keep increasing our customer base, and you know, we're trying to do it. So I think we're good. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Okay.